Jules was born in Johannesburg in South Africa. Congratulations. We are very proud, very proud. Well done. Carrying the flag of the Southern Hemisphere. Well done. For rugby, of course. You are qualified as a chartered accountant at Wits University. Jules was also the CEO of an auditing, advisory, and computer software company in South Africa. He has been in New Zealand for 22 years, and his passion has always been teaching. He was a faculty member of Florence Melton School of Adult Jewish Learning. He's heavily invested in education and learning, and we know that you are a passionate supporter of All Blacks. So, well done. Okay, good, excellent. I am a football, supporter, but I still appreciate passion for rugby, which I see in this nation. So please, Jules, come and join and share with us your insight.
Do I need this?
Yes.
Okay. And this, what is this?
It's connected. We are recording you.
Okay. So, kia ora. Shalom. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. And one that I just learned a few weeks ago in Sri Lanka, it's Ayubowan. And I asked them, that's their traditional greeting, and I said, what does it mean? And it means long life. Ayubowan. So when they greet you, they say Ayubowan, which is quite a nice greeting. I feel privileged to be here. I'm privileged because this is such a beautiful place, but more so that I'm seeing so many people of different faiths. And if I had the time, it would be really nice that I could shake everybody's hand and get to know everybody. Because that's what this is about. And indeed, that's what social justice is about. Thank you, Naomi, for inviting me to come and talk here. And also thank you to Pearl of the Islands, Holy Trinity Cathedral, and Beth Shalom. And of course, this lovely church for hosting us. I'm going to be talking in 4 parts tonight. The first one is I'll define social justice from a Jewish perspective. Then I will talk about the basis in Judaism. Then I'll deal with some of the categories of justice or injustice. And then I'll conclude with the word action. Because what's the good of learning unless you can do something with it? So I'll conclude with action. But first, we have a tradition. And it comes from a great rabbi. His name was Rabba, who lived 1700 years ago. He had many students, thousands of students in his lifetime. And he never had a class. He never started a class without first telling a story. And he said that when you laugh, then it puts you in a good frame of mind, and it opens up the channels of the mind that you can learn. So I hope that I do have something tonight which will be of learning, but first let's tell the story. So we're on to social justice, and the story is at the height of a political case in court, the prosecutor was addressing the witness, and he said, "Isn't it true that you took a bribe of $5,000 to compromise this case?" And the witness was kind of casually looking around and didn't acknowledge the question even. And the prosecutor got really angry, and he said, "Isn't it true that you took a bribe of $5,000 to compromise this case?" And again, the witness just looking around, admiring the scenery. And the judge leaned over to him and he said, "Sir, please answer the question." He said, Oh, I thought he was talking to you. Right, what's the definition of social justice? The Oxford Dictionary says social justice is justice in terms of the distribution of wealth, opportunities, and privileges within a society. It is more than just giving of charity. It is ensuring equality and access to all resources that enable us to create health and wealth. What is social? Social has its ordinary meaning. It's relating to a society or an organization. We've had many societies in our history, from tribalism to communes to socialism, communism, democracies, capitalism. The only one that appears to have shown some signs of working in masses of people is capitalism. But I'll come back to that later. What is justice? Justice is exactly that. It's just behavior or treatment. Just behavior or treatment. I take you to one of the great rabbis who lived, I think he was born 110 BC, and he died 10 AD at the age of 119. His name was Hillel the Elder. And the story is told that he was once asked if he could teach the Torah to somebody while he stood on one foot. He said, sure, stand on one foot. So he stood on one foot, and he said, that which is hateful to you, do not do unto others. That is the entire Torah, he said. The rest is detail. Now go and study. And there's some merit in that. That's social justice. We know what is just for ourselves. And if it's not just for ourselves, why do it to others? To the Bible. The constitution of social justice in the Old Testament comes from the chapter called Shoftim. Shoftim, the meaning of Shoftim, the Hebrew word, is judges. And in the Bible, the names of the chapters usually come from the first word or word in the first sentence of that chapter. So Shoftim is the beginning of this sentence, and it's judges. And it says, in verse 18, it says, judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, tribe by tribe, and they shall judge the people with righteous judgment. So that's the first part of social justice. That first, we think of social justice sometimes in terms of the relationship man to man, woman to woman, man to woman. But it starts with the instruction to those in authority, the judges, the magistrates, to be fair, to judge wisely for the people. And later we'll see that what's instructed to the judges applies equally to each and every individual. So then it says, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, tribe by tribe. So it's not just a judge, it's judges tribe by tribe, which means that all the community is involved. And whilst a lot of people say, well, the Old Testament is just for Jewish, it's not the case. The Old Testament is for humanity. And so when we talk tribe by tribe, it means for humanity. And they shall judge the people with righteous judgment. That's interesting. Righteous judgment, not just judgment, righteous judgment. Verse 19 says, you shall not pervert justice. You shall not show partiality, nor take a gift. It says gift, but we must read that as a bribe, as I mentioned earlier. For a gift blinds the eyes of the wise and twists the words of the righteous. The words of the righteous is, again, impartial, because it's very easy if you're hearing a case that is between a rich person and a poor person to have sympathy for the poor person and so to judge against the rich person. But this says, twists the words of the righteous. So if the person is right and in the right, you must not say he's in the wrong because you have sympathy for the other party. So it's impartial and be fair. Verse 20 is the Constitution. This is now Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 20. It says, justice, justice shalt thou pursue. In Hebrew, it's tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice shalt thou pursue. Sounds quite harmless, but it's very powerful. It is the basis of social justice in Judaism. Firstly, why does it say justice, justice? Why repeat it? Why not just say tzedek tirdof? Why not just say justice you will pursue? The reason for that is any repetition of words or a sentence in the Bible is for the purpose of emphasis. So the emphasis is justice, and only justice shall you pursue. The prophet Amos said, "Let justice roll down as waters, and righteousness as a mighty stream." How cute is that? The waters and a mighty stream. So that's the foundation of social justice in Judaism. Justice, justice shalt thou follow. Now, a little bit about some Bible verses that I've picked out which support this. First one is Isaiah 1:17. It says, "Learn to do right, seek justice, relieve the oppressed, and loveth the stranger in giving him food and raiment." There are many passages, and the passages refer to the orphan, the widow, the poor, and the stranger. And all over in the Bible, in the Proverbs and Psalms. Why that category of people? Because they are disadvantaged. They can't look after themselves. They may not be able to look after themselves. And so it is our duty to take care of them, to protect them, to provide them with the necessities of life. Deuteronomy 10:19 says, "Love ye therefore the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt." Now, we were strangers and we were slaves, and then 2,000 years ago we were dispersed. And Jews have been living in foreign lands throughout the last 2,000 years. In some of those countries, there was harmony and they were well treated as strangers. In some of the countries, it was horrible. Right now, there are 71 million people displaced on the planet. 71 million. Our population is nearly 5 million. That's 15 times our entire population is displaced. Syria has got about 14 million, about half their population is displaced. Some of them internally and some of them externally. Sudan, South Sudan, Colombia, people are displaced. We sit here, we're comfortable, we don't know about displacement. The Bible says, take care of the stranger, because you were strangers in the land of Egypt. The biggest intake of refugees is Turkey, or the Syrians, and Germany. How about that? Germany that went through this horrible period of no social justice, of lawlessness, and now they're the biggest intake of strangers. Right, the next one is, "Thou shalt not pervert the justice due to the stranger or to the fatherless, nor take the widow's raiment for pledge." Now that's an interesting one. The widow's raiment for pledge. The widow has lost her husband. She doesn't have a protector. She doesn't have a provider. And bear in mind, we're talking about 2,000 and 3,000 years ago, where the man went out to do the hunting and got all the food, and the woman looked after the children. So if the husband died, then what was she going to live on? So it says, "Nor take the widow's raiment to pledge." So if the widow was short, you were not allowed to lend her money, for instance, and take some of her assets as security. If she needed something, you had to give it to her. You had to lend it to her without pledge. And then further on it says, "Do not lay interest on your brother." That's also social justice. If somebody's in need, lend them the money, but don't burden them with interest. Proverbs says, "Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and the needy." So this is a new part. It says, open thy mouth. Don't sit back and do nothing. That's the worst thing. Open thy mouth and plead the cause of those that are disadvantaged. Help them. Help them to help themselves. Zechariah says, thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, execute true judgment and show mercy and compassion every man to his brother. So those are some of the backup for the Constitution. The Constitution being tzedek, tzedek, tierdof. Justice, justice, pursue. I come now to capitalism. How does capitalism fit in with social justice? The answer is it doesn't. The answer is capitalism is diametrically opposed to social justice. Social justice says we must do stuff for the benefit of the people. Capitalism does stuff for the benefit of shareholders. It does stuff for the benefit of those who have capital. I'm not criticizing, I'm simply comparing social justice with capitalism. We've seen, and it's going on now, for instance, there's a war on opioid drugs. And in America, they're suing the drug companies. Why? Because the opioid drugs have been responsible for the death of many, many people. The drug company are not concerned with that. They said, well, it's your choice, and the doctors are prescribing it. They know full well that these opioid drugs are dangerous, but they continue to sell it. Why? Bottom line profit, dividends for shareholders, increase in the value of the shares. We've had that with smoking. How many years did it take before smoking, advertising for smoking became illegal? We've had it with alcohol. We've got it with pollution. We've got it with climate change. It's all for the benefit of the shareholders, the benefit of capital. So maybe one day we'll invent a system which will maybe be socialist. You know, in old days I could be arrested for that. In South Africa, we were talking socialist and communism. You got arrested. But our hope is that there will be a society, a just society, which will be for the benefit of all. What are the social injustices? So I'm going to start with the hot topic, feminism. What is feminism? Feminism is any group or person that fights for equal rights for female. And of course, we can say, and it has been said, that the Old Testament is male-dominated, which has merit, but we need to look at social justice in relation to that. So, why was the man the dominant in the Old Testament? He was dominant because there were fewer men. There were men going out to war and getting killed, and there were women that were left. And then he was the protector. So he was, let's say, he had the authority. And that's where it stems from. It does not apply in today's time. And more the feminist movement is gaining momentum. Discrimination. Exodus says, you shall not wrong a sojourner or oppress him, for you are sojourners in the land of Egypt. And I've said before, we Jewish people have been sojourners for thousands of years. Racism. Wow. I come from South Africa. I lived through racism. We had laws in place which were quite severe. And we as a family and as a firm, we ignored those laws. We employed people of color. We gave them opportunity. And I'm really proud to say that we followed social justice even though the law was against us. Labor, same thing. Labor laws, the law in the Bible is if you have a worker, slave, after 6 years of serving for you, you must let him go free. Not only let him go, but you must give him a pension. You must give him from the fruits of his labor that he accumulated your wealth sufficient that he can live. We do that now. We have laws which protect labor. We have rates of pay. You know, in Bangladesh, the minimum wage is $47 a month. They're increasing it this year, December, by 50% to $95. Can you imagine that? Living on $95 a month? Deuteronomy says, you shall not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy. You shall not keep his wages overnight. That's clearly saying, well, we know your position and we're not going to put you into any strife. The Sabbath. The Bible says, observe the Sabbath. And it says, you and your son and your daughter and your worker. Look after the worker. I come to the conclusion. The teachings of the Bible apply to all humanity. And even though we do not follow all the teachings, it does not invalidate the teachings. All judges should follow social justice. Each and every individual should follow social justice. The Bible teaches us to act. We have two words, Naaseh and Ishma, in that order. We will do and we will listen. Forget about the listening. First do, and then after that listen. Here are two things that you can do. Seek out an injustice, anywhere, one individual, a group of individuals, and do something about it to right that injustice. Second, make a regular contribution to an organization that is doing just that. There are two that I know. The one is Amnesty International, and the other is Uri L'Tzedek. Uri L'Tzedek is awakening to righteousness, to justice. So I say again, Tzedek, Tzedek, Tedov. Justice, justice you shall pursue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jules. Thank you very much for your kind words. And for sure, there were more things. I was sitting here on the side and I saw you were skipping page by page just to be in your limit of 15 to 20 minutes. But there will be opportunity, of course, for questions and answers after we hear all of our free speakers. At least those two who are present here will be able to give answers to your questions. So if there is something that comes to your mind during the presentations, please remember it. You will have chance to ask our Jules and Douglas later.